everybody, Tommy Scoville. You're on the lifeboat. Guess what? It's Saturday night. And if you've ever been on the boat on a Saturday night, then you know that we don't take this one real serious. The Saturday night boat is usually when we let our hair down and we do silly things like trivia, top 100 lists. We do a lot of top 100 lists, top 100 films, top 100 lines from films. The lists suck every single time we do it. I'm telling you, every single time. So sometimes we just come on and we let the chat take this thing where it goes. Very often that ends up on like movies or TV shows of the 70s. It can literally end up on anything because I'm going to let the boat run with this, which is what we do on Saturday night. Because honestly, we put up a lot of content during the week, and on Saturday we just sort of screw around. And it's fun because this is really where you start to see personalities and a lot of the people on the boat. And this is where a lot of connections are made. Seriously, this is where people get an idea because we clown around and people get to crack jokes a little more because the subject matter tends to be a little bit lighter. Bizzle! What's happening, Biz? Good to see you, man. Biz is my man. Alan Ballantyne, good to see you. Hello to Newcastle. A little Aussie. I believe it was Todd from Newcastle. We're not mad at you because you're an Aussie. In spite of what Alan Ballantyne has done to the reputation of your country when he came to America, we're still going to treat you guys with the same dignity. I'm kidding. Alan was, well, he did actually, but I'm not going to put him on blast for the entire world. No, Alan was a star, man. We had a really good time. It was very, very cool to have Alan over here. That was such an experience to have him here for that. For what was going on. That was such a trip. Hey, Lori T, good to see you. Huckleberry. He said, sorry, I fell asleep on you earlier. I have that effect on people. Man, that's just the honest to God's truth, Huckleberry. So don't feel bad. I have that effect on people. It's a stone cold fact. A Rolling Stone says, couple of minutes late, but here. Yeah, there's no, we don't punch the clock here on the boat, which is really a good deal. Good morning from Scotland. How cool is that? Man, I love it when we've got people from all over the world here. Oh, you know what? I think I might have got the wrong one there. This is what happens when you guys are really, really flying. Maybe I lost it. I did. See how fast things were going? Vegemite is better than candy corn. There, I said it. Todd, you know what? Been hanging out with Valentine. See, you're all ruined. I'm telling you. That you are aware of the fact that this is just yeast stuff, right? Apparently, they just dragged this stuff out of the bottom of a vat, right? You're aware of this. It smells just absolutely awful. My brother, however, Johnny Scoville, owner of the Silver Play Button, is he's a Vegemite fool. He spreads that stuff on everything. All right, look, people from all over the world. I know what you Aussies are going to say. But for the rest of you, all over the world that isn't, like, right, all over the place, what do you think of Vegemite? If you've tried it, let me know, man. Because I'll be really honest with you. I find the Vegemite thing to be pretty foul. Sadly, or good, whatever, I don't guess how you look at it. But I once said that if the lifeboat were to ever get a silver play button, that I would eat Vegemite every day for a week. It was one of the stupidest things I've ever said in my life. But when I said it, there was 3,000 people on the lifeboat, right? And we had been at 3,000 for a really long time. And it just seemed like one of those really safe things to say. And then shortly thereafter, we exploded. And let's talk about exploding. Boy, oh boy, people. Probably before the end of the lifeboat tonight, if not certainly by midnight. See that? Huckleberry gets it. Huckleberry says, Vegemite? No, thank you. That is the orange circus peanuts of liverwurst of sandwich spread. Just wrong on so many levels. And there is something to that. Although, you know what? Look, hey, if Charlie Murphy's here, I don't want to hear from you, Charlie. We know how you feel. Thoughts and prayers going out to Lady Fiona Crispin, also an Aussie needs our thoughts and prayers. She's still struggling, people, and oh, I did a deuce. You know, we're looking for a one. Thoughts and prayers for Lady Fiona. I'm worried about her. She's really one of us. Yeah. The boat is exploding. Currently, we're averaging about 150 subscribers a day, right, over the course of the last month or two, which is astounding. It really is. It's amazing, and it's very, very cool. Also, this is just mind-boggling. Wow, we're cooking. Here we go. Why did Rudolph have to attend summer school? Because he went down in history. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Yes, there is some truth to this. This is how Australia may have started, but they do no longer allow in felons. So I am persona non grata, sadly. Smash that subscribe button. 100,000 and Tommy eats an entire jar of Vegemite. Todd gets it. Sadly, it's going to happen. I'm very happy that it's going to happen. I'm very happy that the boat's taken off, but I think that this is a reality. The rate we're growing, it's a reality, and it's a reality probably sooner than later. Listen to this, people. This one's going to blow you out of the water, especially if you've been on the boat a long time. Are you ready? In the month of December, the lifeboat before 2024. There's Charlie. The lifeboat is going to hit 1 million views. Another thing that, honestly, I thought we'd probably get to 1 million views. I thought we would do it in about 8 or 9 years. You know, the incredible thing is that about 60% of those views are in the last 5 months, 4 months, which is astounding. And it's not. I promise you, it's not that we're doing anything different here on the boat, right? We're still doing what we're doing. It's just that the word's getting out that this is a very unique thing, right? Caught alive from Scotland. Yay. Love you all. Well, we're pretty fond of you too. Glad that you are here. Truthfully. I love that we are all over the world. We got Australia chiming in tonight. We've got Scotland chiming in tonight. How cool is that? We're going to have to keep whatever kind of, like rock and roll's pretty safe. Like we start talking about TVs, and we are going to block out a good chunk of the audience, because how many people know HR puffin stuff if you're from another country? Right? Or any of those other silly ones. Thank you, Crazy Brumfield. I'll tell you what, congratulations to the boat. You know, it's this has been really if you're just getting here, I swear to you, people, this has been a channel owned by the subscribers from the day we fired this thing up. Well, certainly from the day we went live. I wouldn't say from the day we fired it up, but from the very first day that we went live, the crew mutinied and took over the boat. We weren't a boat yet, but the crew basically said, "Hey, this is going to be a live channel," and we decided to roll with that. And we decided that doing a 20 or 30-minute meeting was not a great idea, that we needed a little bit more time than that. So we did 1 hour live feeds. And we were told, you cannot make anything on YouTube doing live feeds. And if you do them an hour long, the big red button's never going to push them. Long feed is dead. Long form's dead. They told us a lot of really silly things. And then we just did what we did. And we did it in the beginning. I swear to you, if it wasn't for Charlie and V and and all of the rest of you, there's no chance we'd be here today, because those people showed up. We did 2 and 3 shows a day, right? With 6 people, 7 people for a long time. Then we got to about 15, and this is really exciting. It really is. It's a very, very cool concept. I do remember Witchy Poo. I was terrified of Witchy Poo as a kid, man. Terrified. So if you're from another country, we had this really trippy show that you can now Google, right, and look at, called HR Puffin Stuff. And when I say trippy, I mean trippy. Like, this was done by Sid and Marty Croft, right? And one of them just died. I think it was Marty Croft that just died. But it was Sid and Marty Croft brothers. And apparently they did a bunch of dope. And the very psychedelic, and this was made for kids, by the way, but it was a very psychedelic, very kind of 1960s, psychedelic, weird, fungusy kind of plot line. Very, very cool. Fun to watch, though. And going back and watching it as an adult now, I go back and I go, holy crap, they were on drugs. As a kid, it just scared me. Witchy Poo used to really terrify me. I love you all. It's been a really rough month, but listening to lives and replays has helped immensely. Depression and alcohol is never a great combo. You have helped speaking with a professional now. I'm so happy to hear that, right? How about that? It's what everybody needs to be willing and happy about doing, man. You really want to get some help? See a pro. For real. You're absolutely... And then you get an attack plan. And if you don't like the first pro, then you get another one, right? And if anybody in that team seems to come up short, you fire them. Because you have to be your advocate, right? When you're going in for any kind of treatment at all for mental health, right? Whether this be for addiction or anything else, if you're not an advocate for yourself, then you don't have one in the room. Sadly, doctors are fantastic. They really are. But they see a lot of people, and there's burnout, and they have a problem with the holidays just like everybody else. And if you don't gel with your pro, then get a new one, right? Because when you start dealing in the mental health arena, you have to open up. You have to really start to let somebody hear things that, you probably would rather leave, would be better left not talking about. So, yeah, make sure you like the people that you're working with. I think that's hugely important. Witchy Poo is nothing compared to the child catcher. Yeesh. I'll tell you what. There are so many. The Slee Stacks was another one that as a small kid used to freak me out. If you guys remember the Slee Stacks. They popped up in a film a few years back, right? But it was the Land of the Lost. And I was in elementary school. I think it was probably first to second grade. And I used to come home after school and that would be on. And honestly, it used to scare the crap out of me and I would watch it anyway. This is timely. Why is the Grins such a good gardener? Because he has a green thumb. Ba-dum-bum. I just found out I'm under a tornado watch. Do you mean you personally or your entire state? Christy, be careful batting down the hatches, right? That's frightening stuff. Please, batten down the hatches and be safe. Okay. All right, here we go. The Aussies. The Lifeboat Vegemite Fund has begun. Well, here's the good news, and I'm not even lying. I think it's on this desk. Now, the desk is covered in watch parts. But somewhere on this desk or in my cupboard, I actually have Vegemite because my twisted brother digs it, right? So we have a fresh jar of Vegemite around here at all times because Johnny truthfully and honestly digs the stuff. And his favorite thing to do is we cook real food, right? And we'll have Italian cooking or something. And, we'll be doing something with a marinara sauce. And my brother will go, as soon as I taste it, my brother will go, what really makes that awesome is the Vegemite. And I'll turn and look at him. I'll be like, dude, I'm telling you, the day you put Vegemite in my food without telling me, I'm going to be very sore about it. Make it make sense, says the Slee Stacks scared the shite out of me as a kid. I'm telling you, man, I had issues with the Slee Stacks. Valentine, are you celebrating? Okay, good. I can see him taking a victory lap every time one of these comments goes up about that stuff, right? Anytime a Vegemite thing goes up, I can hear Valentine laughing. Question, you have watch parts laying around with a cat in the house? I can't even do crossword puzzles here. It's funny you say that because I joke very often. Have you ever heard of the book, The Watchmaker's Cat? That's because there is no book called The Watchmaker's Cat. Because I'm the only person on planet Earth dumb enough to be a watchmaker and have a cat. They're actually in little sealed compartments. So they're not out where she could actually touch them. So she can run off with things that look like this, right? They're little plastic sealed things that the parts are in. But those little things are everywhere. And occasionally she'll get one off the desk and you'll hear it like scuttling across the floor as she plays, hockey with it or whatever it is that cats do. But yeah, she's not the perfect cat if you happen to be working on anything. Speak of the devil, and she pops up. She knew we were talking about her. She's a pretty slick animal. Quiet girl, we love you too. Thoughts and prayers going out. This is a tough time of year, man. Quiet girl, we love you. I never tried Vegemite or Marmite, nor do I intend to. Well, there, someone speaks a little bit of wisdom. Huh? And obviously, Snot gets it too. Right? I think Vegemite reminds me of crushed termites. Crushed termites, is it? Oh, by the way, we can put to death the theory that an antihistamine is going to help. This is a drug called hydroxyzine. Hydroxyzine is a drug that they give people before surgery, right? Right before you get anesthesia, they give you hydroxyzine. It also is given to people as a sleep aid. But what it is an antihistamine. And it is a massive dose of antihistamine. And it is enough to make people sleep. And the thought was that this was going to help me sleep without the nightmares. It did not work. It did help me sleep. Like I would fall asleep very, very quickly. I would also wake up as soon as the dream started. But, so I took one today and I had to fight to stay awake. It was really, really difficult. And I was deep diving some stuff that we're going to be pulling out of here tomorrow. Some new true crime stuff that is disgusting. You guys are going to trip on this case. It's just honestly, it's crazy. By the way, the Drew Peterson thing is up on Esoteric Atlanta. Everybody hear that? The Drew Peterson thing is up on Esoteric Atlanta. So if you want to check out and hear what happened to his wife, check that out. Mischief Managed says, earthquakes were the scary thing where I grew up in Southern California. People, if you've never felt an earthquake, right? An earthquake is a really, really unbelievable thing. The first time you feel that, and I have I have three really funny prison stories because I was in 3 good earthquakes in prison. And when an earthquake happens in prison, they get really freaked out, right? Because the fences all have sensors on them. So if somebody gets within like 5 feet of the fence, the sensor will let the people inside know that somebody's close to it. Well, when the whole ground starts doing this number, all of those sensors go off at the same time. So they lock that joint down fast. And then the cops got to go and do an inventory of every single inmate, wherever the hell they are, get them back to their cells, do an official count, then doing another official count. And then they got to go and look at the entire building, check every single part of the fence, every single part of the building itself, the foundation. And if you get, 2 or 3 of them over the course of a day or two, this process is repeated. It is a massive pain in the ass. But I was laying in my bunk, and these things are huge, massive steel things, and they're bolted to the floor, right? So they don't move much. They're not rickety. And I was laying on one of these things, and I was on the bottom bunk, and there was a dude on the top bunk, obviously. And all of a sudden, he just goes, "Hey, man, get your feet off of the bottom of this thing and stop doing that." And I'm just laying there, like stretched out, reading it. And I go, "What are you talking about, man?" And he's like, "You just kicked the bed." So I got up out of the bed. If I didn't, I bet you I would have gotten into a vicious fist fight with this guy because he wasn't particularly stable anyway. But I hopped up out of the bed because I was a little freaked out and thought maybe he was coming down. So I stepped up out of the bed, and right when I did, the whole cell started doing the old club babalua. The whole thing just started shaking and shimmying like you were at a fun house. And yeah, I looked at him. I go, "I don't think I kicked your rack." And he's like, "Holy crap." And he hopped off the top rack while it was shaking, which is probably not a great idea. But then everything kind of settled down. And then it sounded like a zoo. Like every single person in that place who was from someplace other than California or someplace other than where the ground shakes freaked out. Guys were yelling and screaming and laughing. And oh, dude. So I went through this twice on that yard, right? And the second time, I was all alone and I was journaling, and I had a cane at the time. I was after one of my strokes, but I was writing, and I had the cane kind of precariously balanced, and I was down like this, and the cane came down and hit me in the face. I was like, "What the hell is that?" So I pushed the thing back up, and I started writing, and I literally let it happen 3 times. The third time it hit me, I was like, I looked around and then thought to myself, you know what? It's probably an earthquake. It never really felt like one, but it would shake the cane off of the position that I had put it in. And like an idiot, I allowed the thing to smack me in the face 3 consecutive times. And then the third time, nobody felt the damn thing. Nobody. And it was the only one that had happened when I was on the yard, right? Like I was out on the yard. And they freaked out. And we all had to run back into the prison, basically got rushed back in. They were freaking out. I was in the Inland Empire in California, so Victorville. Actually, I was in Victorville for 2 of them. The other one, I was in Oregon. I think it was Oregon for the third one. Yeah, pretty sure it was Oregon. I don't know. I went to a lot of them, but when they were building the mail processing center in Santa Clarita, on top of a landfill, the 1994 quake, the foundation sank 4 inches. You know what? A lot of crazy crap happened during that. That quake was ridiculous. If you're outside the United States, that's the quake you saw, right? There was a baseball game going on. I was watching the baseball game with my dad, and the ball game itself got stopped over it, and they kept showing freeways all over California that had dropped. And it's just terrifying. I mean, when you see those big sections of freeway that just drop, it's, yeah, that was a really, really rugged earthquake. Snot, thank you so much. That's 5 gifted memberships to people here on the boat. I love it. Thank you. Snot, you're too kind. Tommy, saw the interview. Very disturbing and educational. It was sad. Talk about a ripple effect. The children suffer generationally. And you know what? What I'm learning is that it's amazing how resilient we are as human beings. It is amazing how much we can bounce back from. But but nevertheless, it still requires a lot of effort, a lot of work. Whether you're getting sober, whether you're breaking out from a group that tried to destroy your life. Like a lot of the people, leaving these cults, whatever the struggle is, it takes a tremendous amount of work. It really does. If you've messed your life up or your life got messed up by somebody else, then it's very much like after the stroke. I was in a wheelchair to start with, and you're not working out, right? I mean, my leg, especially, I had one leg that just wouldn't lock. It was like the knee didn't want to cooperate. So I had to use a cane and keep the leg stiff, and the cane would kind of keep it was the leg. So every time I took a step, the cane went with it, kind of a thing. Prior to the cane thing in the wheelchair, when they said there's no working out, there's nothing you can do, I would just get on a bed and start pushing back and forth with my arms because there was literally nothing else I could do. But I'd be damned if I was going to sit there, right? I wanted to get out of the chair. I really wanted to get to the point where I could walk again. It's the exact same thing when you're trying to rebuild yourself mentally. We beat the hell out of ourselves. Inland Empire, that's where I grew up in LA, in Laverne, about 30 miles west of LA. Well, I'll be darned. The Inland Empire is hot. The day that I got stabbed, it was like 117 degrees out. And I was wearing a woolen cap. Stupid, right? But that was one of those days. I don't remember whether I was planning on hiding something. I don't know why I had a woolen hat on, but I remember taking it off to hide the stabbing. I've never been in one of the really big quakes. I've never been in anything like the ones that that made the news. I've just been in some ground shakers, and I was in 2 in Vermont with my dad. And I'll bet you know what, I've probably told this story before, but I was with my dad, and I had a cat at the time named Linda, and Linda just started acting really weird, like her ears pinned back, and it was very obvious she was gripping the carpet, like she was getting a handful of carpet. And I looked at the cat, and then I looked at my dad, and I was like, "The heck's going on with the cat?" Right? And like this one's doing right now, kind of freaking out. And all of a sudden, everything started to shake. And I'm telling you, that cat knew what was happening before we did. And the crazy thing is, it was probably 2 years later, and I was with my dad, and the cat started to do the exact same thing. And there was a third person in the room, and my dad looked at the cat, and he looked at me, and he goes, "We're about to have an earthquake." And the guy in the room was like, "What?" And the room started to shake, and the guy was like, "How did you do that?" And my dad explained to him the whole cat thing. But yeah, that cat knew what was going to happen right before it did twice. He absolutely did confess to me. I think, one of the other things too, though, is, man, if you did that, if you were guilty of that crime, and not, if you were just a normal jerk convict, right? Just a guy that goes to prison, gets convicted, and goes to the joint. That's got to be a really difficult thing when the whole world, you've been lying to the whole world the whole time. It's like we talk about here every day on the boat. When you hold something inside, what happens, right? Great things. Yeah. When you got when you got something that's traumatic and life-changing, and you take it and you hold it inside, and you don't tell anybody about it, you don't share any of the pain, you suffer in silence, it eats you alive. And I think that for Drew, he probably really wanted to tell somebody that he did it. I believe that. I think, he went on the tour of the country. This guy is the ultimate narcissist. The ultimate narcissist. And for him, I think there's something he gets his rocks off to getting away with the perfect crime. Esoteric Atlanta is the name of a channel on YouTube. The host's name is Bryce Ann. And Bryce has become a really good friend of mine, and we do some true crime stuff together. She's fantastic. She's a great host. Does a really good job at everything I suck at. She's great at editing. She's great at all of those things. And I did not want to do I didn't want to do the Drew Peterson thing and do it, half, half butt, because that's kind of a big deal. And I would have rather had it done really professionally. And Bryce is a pro. And I love talking to her. She's fun to talk to. But you should check out Esoteric Atlanta. There's really a lot of cool stuff on there. Everything is okay. Wife's uncle died, and we have to move with Grandpa. So trying to run two houses. Bent, I'm sorry to hear that, my friend, but it is good to see you. Bent is an original founding member of the lifeboat. It's always an honor when you hear my brother, and I hope that things get easier, right? Oh, no way. Very cool. My dad was a seismologist. He was studying aftershocks outside Tehran in the 1970s camping. Sleeping on the ground, his crew could hear the aftershocks ping, ping, pinging. So maybe cats hear. Maybe. You know what? I've told that story. Since the day that happened, I bet I've told that story 300 times, right? Like, you recycle stories. Somebody brings up an earthquake and you tell the damn story again. But no one has ever offered me any kind of explanation whatsoever. Like, literally, no explanation at all. The thumbnail will have a picture of Drew Peterson's wife on it, and it will say something about Stacy. That's Drew Peterson's wife that disappeared, that no one knows where she is, all of that stuff. Ben says, the last earthquake woke me up with a bang. I believe that. I believe that. Earthquakes are rugged. They really are. But, I have seen some really wild things from Mother Nature. Ree, it's good to see you. And the gnarliest thing that I have ever seen from Mother Nature was the avalanche. I have seen a bunch of avalanches. I worked avalanche crew for a season where I went out and set hand charges and blew stuff up and caused avalanches. Shot air canister howitzers for real. These big charges and fire them off into the mountains. It was a very, very cool gig for a young dude. It was a very cool gig. You got to play with stuff that blew up, and you got to ski really deep powder before anyone else got there. However, you also got to see what those things can do. And I think I've told this story on a boat too. If I haven't, it's probably one of the craziest stories. But I was with my friend, and we were walking from the parking lot into the lodge. And I said, "Hey, did you grab the cooler?" And he was like, "No, you were going to get it." That's how long the conversation lasted. I swear to you. So I said, "I'll grab it." I opened the door to go outside. And when I opened the door, all you could see was the dust from the snow settling. And like you literally couldn't see more than 2 or 3 feet in front of you. It was just like a snow blind. But that lasted maybe 30 seconds and settled. And when it settled, the parking lot was gone. There was not one car you could see in the parking lot. And there was 27 feet of snow over, it was in Snowbird, Utah. And it was Mount Superior. And it slid across the road. We were interlodged. Nobody could leave. It was a rugged slide. And we all had to go out and look for people because there were people in the parking lot when that hit. But we dug somebody out, and the guy said to me, I said, "What? Did you hear it? Did you know it was coming?" He said he heard kick, 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 kick. He said he looked up and went, "Oh man, that's sliding." And by the time he turned around to get to his car, it was cresting and coming up over the top of the road because there's a big dip right before the road on the other side. He said it looked like a wave, a white wave, and one person dove under the car. Amazingly, every single person we pulled out of that parking lot was alive. That was one of those days that, and it's a stressful thing. You're out there with rebar, and you're looking for people, and it's a suck thing to have to do. And I've been on those where you come back and people aren't found, which sucks. Yeah, Seventh, thank you. Seventh says it's a 2-part interview on Stacy Peterson that the captain did. Yeah, and we just put up the second one. We just did that. But yeah, the speed at which they move is terrifying. It really is. And they haze you, right? Like anything else. Like the new guy gets picked on or whatever, and there's practical jokes and all that. Well, when I started working there, we got to the top and we were setting charges, right? And the guy was like, "All right, light that thing." And I'm like, "Yeah, you just light it. It's the first one I'm doing." He's like, "Yeah, you just light it." And I'm like, "Then we're good to go?" He's like, yeah, we'll just light that thing and we're good. So I lit this, and he's like, "Well, and you hike up because the thing is shaped, right? The charge. So it's going to blow out downhill. So if you climb above it, normally you're safe, right?" So we climb up a few steps and whatever. The suction that this thing creates when it starts to slide pulled my hat off. Like everything that I didn't have like neatly secured like everyone else there did the total rookie move and lit it. And when that thing blew, I lost the hat, I lost the goggles, I lost everything. I was like, you knew that was going to happen? He's like, yeah, they do that to everybody. Which is, kind of a funny thing, I guess, except for the goggles are, like $130 and a good pair of gloves, forget about it. Actually, we got everything free back then, but still the principle of the thing. All right, people, I got a question for you. And this is a serious one. So, are you guys hip to this Ruby Franke? You guys familiar with this case? Because I'll tell you what's going on, right? I'm deep diving the hell out of this case, and it is, I promise you, one of the craziest and most twisted, disgusting cases. Ruby Franke was a YouTuber, and a famous YouTuber. Right? Like not the circles we probably run in, right? It's probably not the kind of crap you guys watch. Certainly not the stuff I would have watched. But she had 2.2 million subscribers. Yee! Right? This woman did 1 billion views with a B. She was a very, very, very successful YouTuber. And Martha knows her. Martha knows her, says yes. Case, yes. Nutcase. Absolute nutcase. Tracy says, "I've been watching Ruby Franke, Jody Hildebrand since the beginning. It's crazy, is right." Okay. This is one I want to deep dive on. People, are you with me? I am sorry to hear that, Huckleberry, and I mean that. That's That's painful to hear, and I'm sorry. Ruby Franke reminds me of my parents. Severe abuse justified as discipline for the good of the child. And that is just horse crap. And I'll tell you something, people. This is another one of those cases that I'll tell you why I pick cases, right? We'll make this easier, I guess. I pick cases that make me grit my teeth. I guess that's probably the easiest way to put it. I go for the ones that make me grit my teeth because it sucks driving 8.5 hours to a courthouse for a sentencing or whatever. But if I do this, I'm going to do it. And you gotta really kind of either really be behind the people, right, who are accused, and you think maybe they're wrongly accused, or you got to hate the people. I'm sorry, there's no other way to put it. But these two, and I'm going to make the case for you that Ruby Franke is adult, but Hildebrand is one of the most evil human beings on planet Earth. And I'll tell you something else, people. There's a bombshell on this one that's going to bum out. I mean, there really is a bombshell in this one that no one's really talking about. And it's the cult angle to this. And people are talking about the cult angle, don't get me wrong. But I think I got sort of I think I got a scoop on this of sorts. And it's going to bum out a lot of people, which is kind of what happens to me in every one of these that that you get into. There's always a group of people that are not going to like what you're going to do, and there's a group of people that are not going to like what I'm going to do on this one. But there are people involved in this whose hands are filthy dirty, right? Filthy dirty, who have not been acknowledged in this at all. There are some sick individuals involved in this who have not been named, but we're going to name them. So I'm probably going to start on that tomorrow. I think I'll probably do the first video on it tomorrow. But I am glad to hear that you guys are familiar with who this sicko is. Oh, there could be a bombshell. I'll tell you what happens, AB. First of all, a little faith in the captain. No, here's what happens, truthfully. Everybody goes and does their thing. Right? And I'm not the first YouTuber that's going to take a crack at this. I'm probably not the 5,000th, the 10,000th, the 20,000th that's going to take a crack at this. I, however, do view things a little bit differently than the next guy, right? I tend to look at things from a slightly different angle. And the angle that people aren't talking about in this, right, that really needs to be explored in this one. And I don't want to spoil it, but here's what it comes down to is... Hildebrand made big money. Ruby Franke's made millions of dollars on YouTube. She did. She made millions, and was doing well that way. However, Hildebrand made millions and millions of dollars fleecing people in this scam. People called it an MLM. If it's an MLM, it broke every law on the planet. $14,000 packages, front loading, things that you can't do in MLM without getting into a whole lot of trouble. I know about this, right? So whatever. But the scam that this woman was running, the money that was getting funneled into her made her a multimillionaire, right? I mean, well over. And the people funneling all of that money got some splaining to do because it wasn't just patients paying. So the people paying all of those fees to this woman, literally giving her millions of dollars to destroy marriages, cause people to unalive themselves. You know what, Martha? Booyah. And here's something you're going to find interesting. So Ruby Franke reminds me somewhat of Lori Daybell, says Martha Simmons. And you know what? Martha's right. And here's something unusual. So her beau, right? Lori Daybell's beau, her boyfriend, Chad Daybell, was reading a book, right, that a guy wrote that it's a prophetic end of life. I'm trying to remember the name of it. See, I wasn't prepared to go live tonight. But that book that dude basically preached from for his doomsday cult crap is the exact same book that Ruby's girlfriend, because you gotta believe Hildebrand is Ruby's girlfriend. You gotta believe that. If you don't think those two are having a relationship, what do you leave your kids tied up for? For real. How sick do you got? What do you leave your kids tied up for? The husband was gone and kicked out. She was leaving those kids tied up so that she could be there with, right? So that she could be there with, anyway. Why, thank you, Janice. It's always nice. Did I not say Chad Daybell was her husband? Did I make a mistake on that? I was, if I screwed that up, I apologize. Yeah, it was Chad and Lori, but Chad's the dude that went off the deep end cult crap. Wait. Is this the Mormon lady? Yes, the answer to your question is this is most assuredly the Mormon lady, right? Or the Mormon ladies, as it turns out, because there's two of these. It does go very, very deep. And yes, they're both Mormons. I said boyfriend, my bad. Thank you, Ann. Yeah. Her significant other, the dude she ran off to Hawaii with. Nice guy. Miss V says, I'm sorry, I don't care for Mormons. But you know what? You got that right. And I'll tell you something. I say every time, shout out to my members. They're amazing. Yeah, they really are. Let me put it this way. Every single time I do anything like this, right? You say, the church is off limits in this. It's got nothing to do with the church. These are people outside the church that are doing really stupid things. And they can take the church's doctrine and they can bastardize it and they can do whatever. You know where it gets really dicey though? If the church is stroking checks, right? If the church is paying for people to go and see the therapist, right? If literally the church is stroking fat checks to her, then now you've got some really odd ethical, there are some ethical issues with counseling people. I'm telling you that this thing is so jacked up the more that you read it. The sickest thing I've read so far, and I know you guys have probably done most of the same deep diving as I have if you're into this case, but like this quack would take a victim and put them in an offender group, or take an offender and put them in a victim group. In counseling, right? It's like it's like an OBGYN spiking a baby after delivering it. Like it is such a gross and heinous violation of every single thing that they teach you, having anything to do with the ethics and morals regarding group therapy, that to do that is one of the most frightening concepts. Like this is a genuine, no joke, sick, evil woman, right? And there were people out there that unalived themselves, right? Because of what this woman did. Unalived themselves. It's pretty ugly. Did somebody say LSD? Different show. No trip references tonight. LDS, my bad. It's amazing how money can massage a person's or church's ethics, right? You know what? Here's the thing. And even if you get rampant, screwed up corruption, right, within an organization, it doesn't mean that the people, right, who believe the same thing that organization believes are bad people. And it's a gray area that really gets hard, right? It really does. I've said this many times on the air. I worked as a public speaker, and my ace deuce, like he spoke first hole, I spoke second, or I spoke first hole, he spoke second, depending on when we went, right? Depending on what we were pitching. But we were the first and second dog on the team kind of thing. So we got the nicest rooms, and we bunked together, save money in a room so that you could bank it. And he was a Mormon and a Canadian. He graduated from Rick's College, like he was the real deal, Holyfield, and one of the greatest human beings I've ever met. Honestly, just one of the just salt of the earth. Got a great family, but a lot of times you're right. Like the organizations at the top get. It's just when you if you got somebody in there that isn't put together right. I'm of the firm belief that 1 or 2% of the population is just really, really, really sick. And sometimes that 1 to 2% of the population rises to some form of power, whether that power is with a small organization of people, like in a small cult, or huge organizations of people, like the larger groups. But when you put all that much power into somebody's hand and they can talk to you about your afterlife, right, where you're going, things like that. That's the kind of power that you really got to be terrified of the people that can wield that. And it's always amazing to me. You see people who are the genuine article. You see the people that go out there and they really are just doing great things and working with people. And but it takes one douchebag to screw that up for every solid dude out there trying to do a solid. And you know what? When you try to do a solid, the majority of the world looks at you and goes, "It's a scam." Especially if you robbed banks first. You know how many emails I get a week that tell me I'm a scam artist? I don't charge for this, but I'm a scam artist. I don't know. It's kind of funny, and I was for the vast majority of my life. I mean, I get why people want to take shots at me, but for the love of God, look what I'm doing now. Really? The Osmonds. I have an Osmond story. I think anybody from Utah has an Osmond story. I drove down to Provo, Utah. I was getting ready to go on the road to speak, and it was a Tuesday, right? So I was flying out Tuesday night, and then you lay around most of Wednesday while they set everything up, and the show starts Thursday night, Friday night, and you go through the weekend, right? So we're getting ready to fly out, but we've got no heroin, and we're gonna get sick. And this is the two best speakers on this crew, right? So my partner at the time says to me, the Canadian and Mormon says to me, we can pick up dope in, he preferred pills, by the way, but if he couldn't get pills, he would do this because he was addicted. So he said, if we drive to Provo, we can pick up some dope. And they have a recording studio in Provo. Pretty sure it's in Provo. It is. Yeah, I think it's in Provo. But we drove down to this recording studio, and the guy that I speak with, we'll call him D. D's starstruck like you wouldn't believe, because he's in the, this is where they recorded, Deep Purple Moon, or whatever the hell the name of this song is, Deep Purple Dream. And he was super, super into the Osmonds. So he's in there and he's like, I can't believe this. But all we're doing is supposed to be meeting this guy there, right? This guy's supposed to be bringing the dope. Well, the guy takes about an hour and a half longer than he's supposed to, which if you're ever been, had to deal with a drug dealer, that's standard operating procedure. In fact, an hour and a half late's not even late. But everybody in the room's sick. There's 4 of us, right? 2 locals, they're staying in town, and me and D are going on the road. But all 4 of us are sick, and we're waiting for this dude to come in with a big, big bag of balloons. When he finally drops it off, I'm the only cat in the room that doesn't snort this stuff, right? So I got to go do what I'm doing. Everybody else is snorting it, and they're mixing it, and looks like chocolate milk. They're mixing it in spoons and snorting it. Well, while we were waiting, right, we ate a pizza. Very often this stuff makes you stomach queasy. It's never done it to me. Not my entire career. For whatever reason, opiates and opioids do not mess with my stomach. But they mess with everybody else's, right? So these cats are going, and because snorting it takes way longer to hit it, to hit you, I take 2 hits off of this tin foil and I'm like, oh, thank God. I sit back in this chair and I'm just starting to feel it, like it, really feeling good about myself. And I'm looking through the window to the parking lot, and D and his best friend are bent over and getting rid of all of the pizza that they had in their stomach from about 3 minutes earlier. And I'm not trying to get graphic, but this stuff's kind of piling up on the sidewalk. Like, this is not a runny kind of it's just sort of the pizza's coming back out kind of a thing. And while this is happening, the Osmonds, 2 of them, Not the famous ones, by the way. The ones that you might not ever know the names of. But two of them pulled into the parking lot. And while we were there, first thing I said to the guy is, do the Osmonds ever come down here anymore? They still record? No, you never see them. Hadn't been here in years, right? So that was the last thing that they do. You know, the last word we heard on them was they never show up there, but they showed up there. And I'm in the chair like this, you know, sort of feeling myself, and yeah. So that's my story of the of the Osmonds studio. And then we had to return there because when we filmed one of the infomercials, if you join today, you are going to get, we're going to throw in this, this, and this. Like that voice in the backdrop that you hear in every infomercial had to be redubbed. It didn't work right. So we needed to use a studio. We filmed the infomercial in Las Vegas, the second one. First one we filmed in New York, but the second one we filmed in Vegas. And we had done the audio and everything out there, but since it was scrapped, they were like, fly to New York and you can do the audio. I'm like, that's ridiculous, dude. You're going to fly me all the way to New York to do an audio cut. You know, it just seemed like a lot of money. I said, there's no way I can just do it here and send you a tape or whatever. And he goes, well, let me see if there's a studio. And the light bulb went off. I'm like, the Osmonds have a studio. So we had to go back into it. And D was like, I'm not going into it, dude. I'll drop you off. I'm so embarrassed. I'm like, man, get over it. Stop it. See, this is why you have a YouTube channel where on Saturday nights you can talk about anything. People, this is gold. My friend caught Donny Osmond stealing at the store he worked at back in the 80s. He was going to call the cops on him and everything, but then his manager let him go. You know, that's just the kind of gold you're not going to get on other channels. I can't, that's poor Donny. You know what, though? This happens a lot with stars, whether you believe it or not. A lot. And people go, why would a star ever steal anything? Why would anybody stick a needle in their arm? Right? Why would anybody hurt themselves? Right? If it doesn't make sense to you, trust me, it makes sense to a million other people that do it. Right? And that adrenaline, that stepping out of the good boy thing, I can totally see that from a guy that lived that life. You know what? I'm stealing this shit. And what do you got to worry about? Honestly. I mean, you get caught. You think they're going to arrest him? And even if they did, right? Honestly, how hard would that have been to get out? He would have gone out onto the in front of the cameras and said, you know what? I was going to pay for the thing and I was in there and I had something, so I kind of stuck it in the, you know, he would have, it's not hard to spin. Honestly, I don't think, but I do believe people do this all the time. If, Tommy Bird, not a bad name. Let's see something here, people. We're checking. One tough chick. I'm glad that you came here and said that. For real, right? That's how we start. You come here and you say, hey, what? You know what? I'm struggling. That is how we start. Winona Ryder was stealing stuff. She absolutely was. Yep, that's another star that did it, and the list is actually long. One of George Bush's daughters was caught stealing. This is something that I think a lot of people who live in a life where you're literally kind of sort of cocooned in. You know what I mean? Like your world has like you live in your world, which is within the world you live in, kind of a thing. If that probably does not make a fart bit of sense, but work with me, people. Seriously, third show of the day. I'm getting a little punchy. You know what? I remember this, though. He did go through that phase where he tried to do that. There was like that period of time where he was getting a little edgy, kind of wearing leather jackets. They lived in an insulated world, right? Don't they, though? I mean, for real. Didn't they live in a pretty viciously insulated world? I don't know the whole story of the Osmonds. I really don't. And I don't know that anyone does. But I kind of got the vibe of the Jackson 5 thing. Like, I don't know if all of them were really stoked about doing what they were doing. And maybe I'm wrong. You know, maybe I'm way off base. I'm telling you, it's just an opinion. But I don't know. Maybe it's just because there's nobody that's that friggin' happy. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, they look like a friggin' advertisement for Prozac. No disrespect to the Osmonds. Beautiful family, whatever. But honestly, have you ever seen anybody happier? It's like, give that a break, man. I'm not buying it. Did I ever ski Alta or Deer Valley? I'll tell you what, SJ. Let us see if we can do this one here. I have not skied Japan. I have not skied Japan. I don't know how many places other than that I haven't skied. If it's a big one, I mean, there are teeny little mountains all over the U.S. And you know what? I've hit a grip of those too, because when we would do demo days, you go out and you set up and you let people try new equipment or whatever, and then you go and you do a trick or something. You throw a flip and freak out the locals, because chances are they don't have people there that are doing those kinds of tricks. But I went all over. I went all over the place. Had a lot of bad juju with Japan. Never been there. Never been to Japan. Oh, and I also never skied, and I'm going to get so many people angry at me. But I also never skied in New Zealand. Sorry, that's the other place I haven't been. But I've been everywhere else. Jackson's father was a Jehovah's Witness with 2 families. Another great advertisement for religion. Certainly another great advertisement for the frailty of man. You know? It's sad when somebody purports to be something they're not. It's sad when somebody is in the world telling you that they're something that they're not. It's kind of a bummer. Yes, I have been to Snowshoe in West Virginia. How about that? Alpine Valley in Wisconsin. You know what? I have a funny story about Alpine Valley in Wisconsin. No, it's Alpine Valley, but it's not Wisconsin. I don't know that I did the one in Wisconsin, but there's another Alpine Valley that I did. And I'm trying to remember where it is, because that's not where it is. So yeah, the zip line concept to me is I'd be willing to check that out. It sounds extreme. You know what? There's a lot of truth to that, Mary Jones. I cannot imagine what stars go through. I truthfully cannot imagine yeah, I've definitely done Baldy. I cannot imagine what a star like Brad Pitt goes through. I truthfully can't. Yeah, no. See, Mary Jones says the same thing. This is, I think a lot of people agree to this. Look, you know what, people? I am a teeny YouTuber that has been seen by nobody, but my brother's been seen by a bunch of people, and I'm always getting mistaken for him. And if I go anywhere near where there's a pepper festival, right, I may as well be Brad Pitt. You go to a pepper festival, and every single person there is going to know who you are, and it's just kind of a trip. Like even the Masterson trial. When I went out to LA for the Masterson trial, everybody there knew me, and it was, I can't imagine not being able to get away from that. Like I walked away from the courthouse, right? I'm just Tommy Scoville, and I go get a cup of coffee. But there are people that can't do that anywhere, anywhere. Like YouTube famous is cool because there's a lot of people who aren't on YouTube. If you get YouTube famous, you can still blend in. But those people that are like real big stars, like no joke stars, I don't think I can handle that. I really don't. I can understand why those people film movies, the ones that like come into town, film and take off. Like they got nothing to do with any of that life, I think Bruce Willis, when he was still firing on all cylinders, was doing well. Alpine Valley, right? Site of one of the most horrific injustices in the history of man, right? Christy Brinkley. Alpine Meadow to see Dave Matthews. You said I'd go. Did you mean you would do that, or you've been there, or are you throwing that out because if you got tickets, I'll go. Get those tickets, right? Make it make sense. Let's do this. You buy it? I'm going. Get us tickets. Oh no, my bad. You wrote Danny Bottaducci. I read too fast. You know the great thing about Danny Bottaducci? You don't even need to tell a joke, right? You could just be in the middle of talking about anything and just go, Danny Bottaducci. You're probably going to get a couple of laughs. You know what I mean? Is that being mean? Yeah, you know what, Debbie? Honestly, I'm with you, man. I saw SRV a couple of times. Stevie Ray was an absolute wizard. He really was, man. That dude could play the guitar like very few people ever could. He was really, really something. All right, you know what, people? So this is sad. The cat made an appearance. No hate mail. It's not my fault. We got a visitor came. We got somebody that's helping us wire some things up in the house, and because I'm putting up this very cool light above my front door, and they're helping me wire it up. And so when they came in the door, they were coming back with the light. There was something wrong with it. They had to take it out and get it fixed. And when they were coming in, Squirrel Nut lost it and ran off like there's someone out to get her. But I did have a cat in a basket. I still deliver more cat in a basket than anyone else on YouTube, though. Somebody back me up on this. Have you seen more cat in a basket any other place? I thought not. All right, people, I will see you tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. on the West Coast because, damn it, that's what we do. Appreciate you. Thanks for sticking around to the end. That means a lot to me. It really does. You know, and I don't even have a cool, cute kid at the end. Although my kid's pretty cute, but I don't ever have it yet. Little Wing. Oh, I love that. A great tune. All right, I'm out. Talk to all you tomorrow. God bless.